Hey, welcome back. It's good to see you. Well, as we come to the 10th episode of the first season, the introductory season to the I Am Energizer podcast, it's only right that we start this particular episode off with a prayer. Heads bowed, eyes are closed. You know, God, I'm not coming to you asking you for anything. I come to you more from a perspective and an empathetic standpoint. Today's episode is about addiction. And what I want to address in today's episode is the lack of perspective that we view this world through your eyes, through the eyes of the Creator, the person who provided us all these things, the person who has created and administered all these gifts to all these people. And the best thing that they can come up with is figuring out ways to go the opposite way of who you are, go the opposite way of your harmony, go the opposite way of your provision, and go the opposite way of, just what's obvious, doing right by people, doing right by each other, doing right by ourselves, by the vessel that you provided each one of us. So today, I'm not asking for anything per se. I just want to say that on behalf of those who do hear this episode and who this does reach, from the purest part of my heart, I just like to say that, us who are here for you, we want better. We want to do better. We want to see better. We want better from others. And we know better starts from within us. Better starts with our relationship with you. And through your guidance, through the things that you provide us, through your system and through the guides that you provide us and the intuition and all the great things that you have at your disposal for us, we would like to say thank you. And we want to do the work to receive more of those things. And we want to be of service to you. So that's today's prayer. Amen. Now, as you just heard, today's prayer is about addiction. Let me get comfortable. I've never drank, never smoked, never done a drug a day in life, never tried it, never cared to, not interested. But I have battled with addiction. We all do. And whether you admit it or not, I don't care. I know that addiction is something that we have to be quite cognizant of. Addiction is the fact or the condition of being addicted to something particular, some type of activity. It could be a particular substance or the lack thereof. So you hear synonyms like dependency, dependence, cravings, habits, some may say weakness. All right. So we associate those words with addiction. Some of us are susceptible to the most common addictions. It could be the substances we should not be putting in our bodies. Most of us think of drug substances, but it could be the food that you put in your body. I literally just watched a reel that a friend of mine sent to me, and it was three women, three very heavy plus size women doing a wager and setting goals of how much Taco Bell that they could order and eat. Now, this is great for Taco Bell. This is terrible for the cook that's back there. This is terrible for their pockets in the long run. And this is terrible, likely for the person who's behind them that has to wait. And I've never seen Taco Bell say, pull up right here and we'll bring your order right out. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to have to do that with the order. And I'm talking about like 15 items a piece, 20 items a piece, tacos, burritos, yada, yada, yada. You don't need to be putting that substance in your body. Let's look at the other substances, the over-the-counter things that we take, prescription and non-prescription things that we take, things that we create, these habits that we seem to pay for, that we feel like we need, the things that come with certain industries that we're part of, whether you're in the music industry, whether you're in the strip clubs, whether you're in adult entertainment, whether you're in finance, whether you're in trading. In some social circles, there's these particular extracurricular activities that involve using substances that you shouldn't be putting in your body. Now you got this addiction. With some of us, it could be a particular thing. And for most of you, you can name your thing. Some of us could be addicted to sports. That's the thing that you're addicted to. It is the substance that you need. It is the thing that gets you going. The other thing or activity could be drama. America is addicted to drama. We're addicted to trauma. We're addicted to consuming. So we're addicted to negativity. So as I sit back and watch, I see nothing but addiction around me. We got to kick that addiction. One of the things that is synonymous with the word addiction is habit, craving. What happens when you got that feeling that, you want this thing that you're addicted to? What happens? You feed it. So what I found in kicking certain habits is you got to starve it out. You have to starve that craving. You have to starve that addiction. You can't feed it anymore. If it's a habit, you have to break that habit. You have to break that rhythm, that pattern, whatever that is that you've become used to doing, you have to stop. Now, some of us can cold turkey. Some of us are so mentally strong that once we apply ourselves, that's it. Is that you? Some of us need encouragement. Some of us need a support system. Some of us might not be as strong as others who can just cut it off. Let's recognize these things. Let's figure out a way to go in and address these habits, and let's stop working them. So you could have good habits like going in the gym, building muscle. You could have good habits like eating fruits and vegetables, sticking to a particular fast that you had in place. We can have good habits like we properly budget our money. We don't overspend. We actually underspend. We don't live above our means. We don't overconsume. We live in some version of balance. Some of us have great habits. We're not argumentative. We respect others when they talk. We offer our opinions and our information or our perspectives on what we see. And then if there's a tough conversation that needs to be had, then guess what? We just have that tough conversation. So some of us have great habits. Sticking to the positive side of that, how can we kick those addictions? Adult entertainment, being in the club all the time, adult or alcoholic beverages or beverages. Man, it's not that hard. Anything that does not fit you and make you a better version of you, why are you doing it? And in the long run, a lot of these things will catch up. So the addiction that we have, like what is this addiction with negativity and social media? What is that about? What is this over opinionated society? Like, I mean, y'all never cared this much about the First Amendment. And then at the same time, we're overly censored. I'm clueless as to what the impetus is with a lot of these things. What is the motivating factor? What is the root of these things? And I think a lot of people don't know. I think a lot of you all have friends, family, could be you. You have no clue. You have the slightest idea of what's going on. I just want to look at, the way how we treat addiction. Some people are shunned from their family. Some people go to versions of rehab, and there's a lot of versions of rehab that don't exist that we need. We just look at some of the more obvious addictions that go on. Here's one. Some people are addicted to escapism. The minute it's time to be held accountable, the minute something gets tough, the minute something doesn't go the way you want it to go, oh, you ready to escape. You ready to wiggle your way out. You ready to give all this mouth and do all these things and cause all this theatrics to make sure you don't have to do that thing that challenges you or that makes you uncomfortable or something that you're insecure in. That could be addiction. So for the addict in you, what is that thing that you could get rid of? What is that thing that you should change your addiction to? You should change that habit. You should change and monitor that craving. You should start cutting that craving or weaning yourself off. Some of us like to touch ourselves. Some of us abuse that. You can stop doing it. It'll catch up with you later. So when we go knock out this addiction, I think we should look up some of the key ways that we can navigate through addiction or that we can wean ourselves off of some of these bad habits. And I'm not impervious to this. I'm a part of the crew. This is not, I'm on the outside looking in. There are tons of habits that I've developed throughout the years that are bad habits that I would need to kick. There are certain addictions that I need to have. Those are the positive habits. What are some things that you can get rid of? And then what are the new positive habits that you can add to? We get rid of one, we bring in another. You do know that's God's system. Life, death, plus, minus. You know that, right? It's a balancing of the books. If anybody was the greatest accountant, it would be God. So that's how a system is set up. It's accounting. So in some people, they have accounting. It's called the matching principle. One in, one out. Life, death, transformation. We see it all the time. Animals go through it. Every animal goes through some version of transformation. Most people look at like the butterfly. Okay. Starts off as a caterpillar, got his legs, we're going through, cocoon, pow, flies. Talk about perspective. You was larvae. You was one with the ground. You was crawling on stuff. You went into a particular state. You was isolated. And then you went through your change. Wings, you flying. That's an interesting one. Gotta go look deeper into that. I like the sound of that. Anyway, it would not help that I come on here and talk about addiction and then not put you in the position to kick addiction. So what are some of the ways that we can kick addiction? Let's see. First things first, you need to acknowledge and recognize that you even have the addiction in the first place. Some of the tall tale signs are a lot of the negative things that are happening around a particular theme in your life, and that is the particular theme. Another one could be you seeing how this particular thing has some version of detriment to you in any type of way. All right. It's not bringing the positive out of you. It's not bringing the positive out of others. It costs you in some particular type of way. There's some version of price that you have to pay for this particular thing that you do all the time that does not end up in the positive. Also recognizing something that you do that is consistent, that is routine, that is habit, and it hurts others, because it could just not be you that it hurts. So these are some of the ways of recognizing this. And then once you acknowledge it, you commit to the change. You have to know who, what, when, where, why of why you are committing to changing whatever this habit is. In a lot of cases, like when I've spoken to in the other episodes, it's some healing that needs to go on. Part of this, because a lot of people keep ending up back in the same circle, end up back on their hamster wheel, going full speed ahead. You keep ending up in the same thing, same loop. What you need to figure out is, why do you do what you do? That's a huge one. Who are you, or who were you when this started? The what was the reason you started? When did you start doing it? Why did you start doing it? Again, the where did it begin? Where did this happen? Where was this a thing? Where did this exchange of energy come in? Where did you pick up this habit? You just got to ask the questions. Admitting that the addiction exists, acknowledging it, that's a huge thing for you. Let's figure that out first. Then you have to define your why. Why do you want to stop? Is it to assist you with being healthier, better your finances, going to help your immediate family, like your born-in family, or the family that you created? Will it help your friend circle? Will it help your relationship? Will it be spiritual growth? Now, again, if you have that addiction and then you go in and look at the healing mechanism, well, guess what? That healing mechanism is what's going to add to your spiritual growth in addressing and battling this addiction, because you go overcome it. So the little short-term pain, or whatever pain you go through, break down, build stronger. That's muscles. That's habit. That's how God's system is set up. So there it is again, his system. Break it down, rebuild. So got an addiction, break yourself down. You go feel weak. You go hate that you're going through this. You go through your certain challenges. Boom, you stop doing it. You get the habits, and now the energy that allows you to stay consistent and you're committed. Boom, you're stronger. Boom, you've healed something. Boom, you've spiritually grown. Write down your goals. Writing it down is a constant reminder. I've seen people who do, like, they get the poster board and do the visionary board. Man, you could write that down. If you're a calendar person, put it on your calendar. If you're a digital calendar person, put it in your calendars, or put it as a reminder in your phone. You could get you an accountability partner, or speak with somebody. You can get clinical help and speak with someone on a routine that will assist you or mentor you through going through this addiction that you need to drop and being on the other side of it. Ask somebody who had the experience, who might have had the same habit that you have, the same addiction that you have, and ask them, hey, how did you overcome it? What did you do? Go do that. That could be a great way for you to have that perspective of how to get to the other side of that tunnel that you might not see the light in at the moment. So write those goals down, revisit those goals daily if you need to. That reminder, first thing in the morning, midday, evening, whatever you need, these habits to remind you that thing is not a thing. Yeah, let's hang it up. A part of those reminders and things that you do on a daily, those small little tidbits like bricks that you build to eventually make a wall, the foundation that you lay, you're plotting it out, you dig up the dirt, of course. Then from there, your framing and all of that goes on. Then let's just say you lay rebar. Let's say you boom, your cement. Now you got foundation. From foundation, you build it from there. What I'm getting at essentially is all these things are the smaller habits that are larger habits that allow the rest of the things that you need to go through. It allows you to build that up. So what are you doing? Neurological pathways. You're rewiring the brain. If you was to open your brain up and see that addiction, you screw up a little bit. All right, it's in there good. So that's essentially what you're doing. So a lot of people speak to it. It's cognitive behavior therapy. And what it does is it helps identify triggers and replace destructive thought patterns. So let's think about that. The things around you that will trigger you into operating in this particular addiction. And this destructive behavior is something that needs to be nipped in the bud. So at the end of the day, you got to pick up the pattern on how you do it. For example, let's just say biting your nails. What is the thing that triggers you in biting your nails? And how do you override that pattern now and say, oh, man, I'm tired of my fingers looking chewed up. Let me stop that. Oh, let me get my hand in my mouth. Okay, what are some things that I could do to get my hand in my mouth? Okay, I might need to go extremist, putting cayenne pepper on there, or I might need to wear gloves. It can be tons of things that you could do now that's going to help with that cognitive behavior therapy. It's going to allow you to rewire and figure out what your triggers are. When you figure out those triggers, that's one of the best parts of the journey as you try to battle that addiction. Yoga, stillness, mindful meditation, some of you all call it prayer. This builds the awareness of the urge. When you sense that addiction coming along, when you sense that trigger, go in that direction. Deep breath. That's one that I use. let it out. So that's a huge one for me. Some people journal. They track the behavior, they track the moods, they track the things, they try to figure out the patterns that they experience in their daily and then how they responded to it. The progress of that pattern as you change it could also be something that you notate. What do you think therapists are doing? They're tracking the conversation, they're tracking the behavior, they're tracking the patterns. And then if there's some version of change, they're going to put that data in there as well. And they're going to try to figure out what are these things. So let's just say, your mother-in-law is a trigger. Well, guess what? Thanksgiving's coming up, but you have your therapy session prior to Thanksgiving. She gonna have that conversation with you. Hey, in the past 2 years that we've been going through these therapy sessions, we noticed during these times of the year, during your birthday was in October, Thanksgiving rolled around, then Christmas, then New Year's, then Valentine's Day. I started noticing that you do A, B, C, and D during these particular times of the year. These months, they're colder, you're isolated more, you do A, B, C, and D, and I noticed you do this. Yeah. So if you're one of those journaling people, that's why some people keep diaries. That would be a great way to track the behavior. So the next one would be avoiding your triggers. I just spoke about triggers and how these things come about. Triggers are huge. And when I figured out one of my triggers, I kid you not, I was so excited with myself. I just couldn't believe that was like third personing perspective of this particular trigger that I experienced. So for years, I had been susceptible to experiencing a particular behavior, and it's a trigger for me. So changing certain routines that lead to that addictive behavior, we just spoke on that. You got to do that. Avoiding those triggers, sensing those triggers, not going around them, staying away from people, places, things, activities, apps that's going to trigger or encourage relapse. These apps are a huge one. I kid you not. One of the biggest things that I see is just America's addiction to drama, trauma, and negativity. I spoke about it just a few minutes ago, but we see it mostly through these apps. I don't think our life or the quote unquote stress that we're introduced to and all the things that we see, I don't believe no other generation has experienced this type of thing that we're experiencing. All other versions of their interactions back in the day was much slower. Even up until, let's just say, 10 years ago. It still wasn't at this quote unquote rapid of a pace. We were on our way, but even still 10 years ago, it wasn't this. So staying away from those people, places, things, apps that encourage the relapse, healthy alternatives, exercise, readings, just certain positive hobbies. So I just spoke about that. The life down plus minus balancing the books. So when you go out, when you come in, why not? Why not replace this habit, this thing that you're doing that's not good? Why not replace it with something else? Why not replace it with exercise? Why not replace it with, that thing that you've been wanting to do or been wanting to learn to do? Or why not replace it with that thing that you stopped doing because you started doing this habit? So there's so many things that you could do better and more positive than this particular thing that's damaging you, the vessel, or damaging others around you. There's some other more positive things that you could be doing. A lot of people should invest in therapy. I've casually mentioned it through some of the examples that I've said, but therapy, I think finding the right therapist is the key. You have to find the person that matches or meshes with you. I'm not going to say they have to be like from your ethnic background or culturally be from where you are, because sometimes having a certain version of another perspective helps bring you out of some of those habits and places that we get stuck at. But some version of professional guidance, certain people who have a clinical background that study certain habits and have the tools or can assist you in bringing out the tools that you need, because some of us have them. You just don't know where they are. You didn't label them. You didn't put them back right. Sometimes guys, how we have certain ratchet and wrench sets and things that come together. Ladies, you might have a manicure set or something that goes with your blow dryer or something like that. And then next thing you know, you're looking for that particular tool or that accessory or that thing that goes with the thing that all came together at once and you've misplaced it. That's us. Some of us have that internally within us, and we just need to go and find it. Having any version of a professional setting that can assist you, even certain small groups. So, of course, with alcohol, you hear AA. That's a group where they come together. They're going to acknowledge that they have this particular addiction. They're going to talk about the triggers and things and the situations that they've been around. They're going to talk about maybe where it started. They're going to have certain supportive conversations. Some people talk about relapse, and one of the things that they acknowledge is how long they went without. So having some version of a accountability partner, some type of accountability group, that would be great. And then that brings us to friends and family. Now, sometimes our friends and family can be our worst enemy. They can be the people who are the triggers. They can be the people who enable, oh, bro, we going out. You not go drink. Oh, bro, I got this cocaine for my birthday. You not going to take a line. Yeah, girl, we about to go bust out such and such window. Blah, blah, blah. Just all these things. You see what I sent you on Instagram? you on an Instagram fast. Girl, you got to go see it. Look at what Keisha did. Man, you got to go see this, bro. Did you see that video Brian posted? You know, all of that. So, man, took a cross and just said, blah, 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 blah. Man, he racist, da, da, da. All that be, man, you think Candace Owens, da, 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 da. Man, they did it. You know, I'm going to shoot the video to you. None of these things help. So these are our friends and family that might be contributing towards the problem. They don't know in some cases, but in a lot of cases, some of them do. And now what you can do to now start creating better habits, you can enforce boundaries. You can create them first, then you enforce them. If they don't know that the boundary exists, then, you know, when they're trying to figure out what all this enforcement or what all this different energy is. Having some version of friend or family that can assist you in being accountable, you're looking for that mature person that you know is going to tell you the truth, be honest with you, and tell you what it is. You may not like to hear what they have to say, but they go speak up. They have no hidden agenda. They're saying it's from the purest part of their hearts. And whether you do it or not, it's not going to be a plus or a minus to them. It's not going to be to quote unquote their detriment, but you know they want to see the best in you and that you know they want to see better for you. And they actually likely encourage you to go upon this journey, really are honored to be a part of supporting you. That's a thing. So when I speak to replacing positive habits, remember that in and out thing that I spoke to? Exercise is one of the best dopamine hits that you could get. Example, runner's high. You know what it's like to just go get a good run in and everything's just, it might have hurt the whole run. But the chemical energy that you feel when that blood is flowing through your body, you man, you're the vascularity that's going through everything, you know, you're strong. Man, runner's high is an amazing one. A lot of people in the gym, they have no clue, you know, how strong that they are or certain goals and things that they accomplish. Then they start getting addicted to the results and the daily accomplishments and the things that you do. You go in setting a goal, then you go in, meet and exceed it. These are way better than a lot of the things that we're doing that's hurting us. Now, don't go in the gym and be goofing around and doing the goofy stuff and you just in there trying to show off or all you're doing is recording video. I'm talking about actually taking that time, that 2-3 hours that you spend in a day doing whatever quote unquote bad habit, you could switch that out for 90 minutes of working out. You could switch that out for an hour of walking. You could switch that out for an hour or 90 minutes of yoga. You could switch that out with stretching and being more flexible, or just even doing functional things. Taking a dog for a walk, taking your kids outside to play. These are much more positive things that you could be doing. Nutrition, hydration. These are better ways to go in and create better habits. A lot of you all are real life dehydrating and robbing your body of certain nutritional things that it needs. So why not go back now? You didn't tore the body up so much with this habit, this addiction. You go put more and better things into it. Go research ways to now kind of offset some of those things that you've done that might have caused liver damage or heart damage or lung damage or, you know, your blood vessels and all of that, your arteries and all of that. And you can go and do something more positive. New hobbies, skill building, picking up a new instrument. Some of you all were artists at one point. You love in art class doodling. Even if you're not, man, go pick up something and start doodling or writing or drawing. Some of y'all need to go back to your biggest joy. Go get a coloring book and go get some crayons and you sit down. You could put on some music that you want and you could just therapeutically sit there and color. Somebody go do that and do that for a week. Take time out your day. Set you a timer. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb and just sit there and color and tell me how therapeutic that is. Tell me how much joy it brought back to your life that you hadn't experienced since a kid, and just that joy and that stillness that's going on in your energy. Watch. Some of us love playing particular sports: volleyball, kickball, baseball, softball, soccer, hooping. Now, I'm not saying go out here and try to get in intramurals as a grown adult and then you acting like you finna go pro or whatnot. I'm not saying that. I'm not encouraging you going ahead and tan your body up. Operate within your means, build yourself up to do the things that you want to do. Be realistic. So new hobbies, building a new skill. You can go learn AI. You can go learn LLM. You can go look at consumer law. You can go start looking up the fact that all quote unquote black people, so-called black people in America are not African Americans. They do not have African descent. They are from this land. You can go start looking those things up. You can start looking up how different political parties have switched roles on you. You can go look up the history of certain financial things in your area, or you can go look up the history of the neighborhood that you stay in. It's so many skills that you can go pick up. Now, some of you all need to do some version of detoxing. Some of you all, real life, need to just stop, drop everything and get off whatever it is that you own. You need to get off that. Detoxing, some version of a rehabilitation or detoxification program, that would be an amazing thing to be a part of. If you can enroll in that program, great. If not, and it's something that you can self-manage or get an accountability partner to do it, then yeah, do that. Sometimes you will need certain medications to assist you, depending on what you was on. Make sure you see some type of physician and advise with them. Y'all, figure that out. Don't stop doing one and doing the other because you self-diagnosed and now you just out here doing something. So natural options that you have. You can look into those. That way it could be easier on you, easier on your body. But for some people, you will need to see a physician to discuss some of these things that you've been doing that now needs to be medically looked at from a medical perspective. I'll just leave it at that. The next one I would say, and that I highly encourage if you listen to any of the other episodes in season 1, is the spiritual and the inner work. A lot of what the issue is within you. I wouldn't technically blame it on environment or the things around you. I would say that it's something within you that you need to look at. So it could be spiritually. Many people use prayer. You could try to pray it off, but if you praying and you not doing the work, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that really go? Meditation, we spoke about that. That would be another great one. And then sometimes you might need to connect with a faith community. Sometimes you might need to get in somebody's ministry. That ministry might assist you. I'm not saying go indulge in religion, but what I am saying is if you are part of a ministry or there's some type of ministry that can assist you with habit and they can provide you with certain spiritual insight or again, speak to certain ways that can aid you from a spiritual standpoint, encouraging words or things that can help you put in perspective what you're experiencing, what you're feeling and what your theme and journey is, then I would definitely suggest that. And if you don't have one that works out for you, you go look for another one. You know, that's a part of what you think is the base of what you need to do. I'm not saying go dive face first in religion. I ain't saying that. What I am saying is you can find you a spiritual community that can assist you in being the better version of you and knocking this A word off you. In the spiritual aspect and the inner work, there are certain practices like breath work. I spoke about that, how I do the breathing, being present and operating in breath work. It allows you to be in the moment now and in control of something and focus on something that's normally on autopilot. So that's a great way for you to get in and change something and control something within you that can contribute towards better habits. Gratitude. Expressing gratitude. You don't always got to hit God up and pray and ask for something. You can express gratitude for the things that you have. That's another spiritual way of being on the more positive side of things when you experience a bunch of negativity. Another thing could be self-forgiveness, reducing the shame or whatever the insecurity is and whatever that thing is that you don't feel good about. Self-forgiveness could be a huge way. That's a part of that spiritual and inner work that you could be doing. And now it just aligns you up to increase your resilience. It can increase the energy within you that had been lacking for so long. Now you can start building that up. But some of those insecurities, you can now gain the security within whatever that issue is that you're going through. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention one of the key things that we know as humans happen, and it's slipping back into old habits. Relapse. Yeah, I've been a part of relapsing. Okay. Again, I don't do none of the things that we talk about, but it could be that toxic relationship and knowing you ain't supposed to be dealing with a person and boom, relapse. You know, you going somewhere you knowing you ain't supposed to be, you out there again, relapse. Watching certain things you don't need to be watching, relapse. So there's so many ways that you could relapse. You develop a good habit and you're trying to stay away from like cursing. Next thing you know, something happened, mother relapse. Relapsing is something that you can have a plan for. I'll just say that. So some version of plan that addresses if and or when you slip up. Now aim to not slip up, but in the event that you do, don't treat yourself as a failure and just look at ways of how to just gain your ground. Analyze what it is that happened. Analyze what was the trigger? What was the thing? What are you doing? How did you lose that presence of thought? How did you lose that presence of determination? Where did you lose control? Where and how and why? What was you doing that allowed you to now get back in there? What was your conscious thought? Because, for example, if I know I'm not supposed to be dealing with an old girl and, you know, she stayed 20 minutes away, I done got dressed. First, this was the text. Then it's the back and forth. Then I've committed. Where was my thought there? Then I didn't got in the car. I didn't put the seatbelt on. I didn't started up the car. I didn't put it in drive. It's so many thoughts that should have been had. But here I go. It's so many miles that have transpired in between the text message and getting there that I've had a chance to take back control of the scenario. So understanding where your strength is, analyze where you made the mistake, putting yourself in the position not to do it. Yeah, strengthen your plan, get back on track quickly. I could be 10 minutes away. I'm gonna make this U-turn and get on. It wasn't too late. Oh, something came up. Oh, my stomach bubbling. You know what? I really shouldn't be doing this. We need to stick to, you know, what we was just friends. Or, you know, if we can't respect the friendship thing with one another, then, you know, hey, we need to go ahead and, you know, cease our relationship because I see myself in a position of possibly relapsing. There needs to be some version of emergency routine, okay? There could be a certain thing that you do when you feel yourself going into that space. Let's say you're dealing with anger. Go take that walk. Get you a friend. That's why if you see like on AA on them TV shows, they call that sponsor. They get that sponsor on the phone. It could be, you know, them kids driving you crazy and you trying to stay away from popping off on them and creating this negative image and this bad energy that they always see and you not being able to hold your temper. So what you do, you go pray, you go meditate, you go do breath work. So create that routine that's going to put you in the position to hurry up and come out of it and regain your control. The most successful approach is usually the mindset, the environment change, the change in habit, having a good support system, and replacing those habits with some positives. So in conclusion, I hope today we've addressed and looked at some of the things that we have as addictions, some of these bad habits that we have taken on and that is detrimental to us, our vessel, our spiritual us, our inner us, the physical version of us, the flesh version of us, the whole part of our being, our reputation, our character, anything that we had going on that's not pushing the best version of us, the us that God wants us to be, that's a part of that creator's intent, that creator's plan, that better you. Well, guess what? We've addressed some of those things today that can put us in a position to get on the right track. So this wraps up season 1, I Am Energizer podcast on YouTube, episode 10. Thanks for joining. Tell a friend, man, like, subscribe, do all those alerts and bells and whistles, whatever these other, y'all know, y'all not new to YouTube. Y'all not new to these communities. I want to build a community of people that I can have these conversations with. I can bring you up. We can record episodes in some of these conversations and we can learn from one another. Just know God didn't create us not to network and exchange and barter and to utilize each other's gifts and experience to learn from one another. He didn't build us to just internalize all these things. So I do want to start building that community to get us on the upside of things to where we work on you, brings about the unity, brings about the better community. That's what I'm about. I've expressed that throughout the podcast, season 1, episodes 1 through 10. So check it out. I will be expanding to other platforms as well. So if you don't feel like looking at me, and I know I'm handsome, so I don't want to hear the BS, but if you don't feel like looking at me, or, just say, for example, like cutting it on and then you're in the car or whatnot, or you're on your commute or got it and you don't know how to utilize YouTube, and it cuts off and all that. I'll have some other platforms that you might be more familiar with, but I do want to utilize the YouTube community because I feel like YouTube is a great community to build a brand and to build that group of people that come together and share with one another. So I appreciate you guys following me on over here. Some of the other media outlets that we have, quote unquote, social media, it promotes anti what I'm on. It's a lot of negativity and things that are anti-me. And for a lot of us, we're addicted to those things. So a lot of the things that I talked about today, I'll be implementing just in dealing with the social media aspect because we watch and consume so much of it. And it's just not good for us. The brain is not made to take on all that stuff that goes on. And a lot of it is more negative than positive, and it doesn't contribute to you. So it also puts some of us at analysis paralysis. We could be in a particular algorithm and we just get all these things that load us up. And now we don't know how to make a doggone decision because we're so busy saving those reels and not now putting action to those things or following these particular type of people. And then we see somebody else. And now we're all tripped up and all turned around. So with that being said, I'm going to apply some of these things that I spoke to you all today to help me get out of those addictions or negative habits that I possess to be the better version of me. So again, this wraps up I Am Energizer podcast, season 1, episode 10. Thank you for tuning in.